Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Dexter Unwrapped, a podcast where we wander into the shadows and unwrap the dark mind of everyone's favorite vigilante serial killer, Dexter Morgan. As always, I'll be your host, Michaela.
And I'm Brooke, and for the next 10 weeks, we're leaving behind the murky waters of Miami and taking a trip up north to frigid Iron Lake as we rewatch and unwrap Dexter New Blood. Today we'll be talking about episode 2, titled Storm of Fuck.
Tonight's the night. 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 It's been a long time.
What is up, Spotify and YouTube listeners? Thank you so much for tuning in for episode 2 of our New Blood series. Today we're going to be talking about Storm of Fuck. But before we get into that, let's talk about Resurrection. We got some new crazy news.
Yeah.
A couple different things. We've got David Desmalchin.
It's like Dalmatian to me.
Dude, I am psychic. I knew you were going to call him David Dalmatian. I don't know how I knew in my mind, but I was like, Michaela's definitely going to call him David Dalmatian.
Definitely David Dalmatian.
It's David...
Or Dash Hound. It looks like a dachshund. Like,
He's fucking great, though. I love him. He was just in Late Night with the Devil, like last year. I don't know. It was recently, but you saw that, right?
yes.
Oh, it was great.
Very good.
But David Desmalchin. There we go. I locked in. But his character's name is Gareth, which was interesting. But his character's under wraps. They've not announced anything other than the name, which is Gareth.
Okay.
Gareth of Dissecting Dexter's gagging right now.
Yes. Love that for him.
So we have no idea what's going on with him, but he is confirmed. And then we got another confirmation.
Yes, John Lithgow has stated that he
Wow.
is coming back. He said,
Insane. I really can't say that I'm shocked because aren't we getting a Trinity spinoff?
I still don't
Is
think
that
that's been like
confirmed?
confirmed. I don't know if it's been confirmed or if it's still.
Well, if we are getting a Trinity spinoff, that would definitely make sense as to why they would put him in Resurrection, but
His statement says, I just went back to do a day. They're rebooting the entire Michael C. Hall version of Dexter, and it turns out he didn't die after all. I come back as sort of a phantom as he gradually comes to life on a hospital bed.
wow. He's really just giving us all the information. He's funny.
Shut up, cunt.
We got Trinity in New Blood.
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would have him coming back, but I wish it were like Rita
Me
or
too.
Dokes or something.
Who's to say that can't happen? You know? You never know. I'm sure they know what the people want. It just depends on...
Yeah, but they're dropping all these big names.
Dude, I honestly, like, if Rita's not involved somehow, I'm going to be really upset.
it's like,
I'm going to be
come
let down.
on. It's her son. Harrison's her son, and she's not even gonna.
And she talks about it all the time. I see her on, like, podcasts and stuff, always talking about Dexter.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's a definite possibility.
You can get all these damn ghosts. You can get Rita to come back, okay?
For real. So that's going to be really, really interesting. They have such a star-studded cast, it seems. Like,
Yeah, very exciting.
I feel like every day I'm waking up and being like, holy shit, they got so-and-so. Yeah, so that's going to be really interesting. I'm excited. We will let you guys know as soon as we hear anything. We usually just get everything from Dexter Daily. So if you just want to go to dexterdaily.com, they
Yeah.
have that. They're so quick on that shit.
They're posting stuff every day.
Yeah. So I've been dying to... What the fuck is happening in Yellow Jackets? Okay, so we can't spoil anything for anybody that might want to watch Yellow Jackets in the future. We're not going to spoil. We're on season 3 right now.
Yeah, season 3, episode 6. Insane. Wild.
I said, no, what the hell? Ah, it's going crazy though. Like, I am still interested. I'm dying to know what's going on in Severance. I know that you haven't
yeah, I
watched the
haven't.
second season yet. But
It took me a while to get through the first season.
it's a lot. It's weird. It's different. Like it's not structured like a lot of other television shows. But and the story's progressing really slowly. We have one episode left in season 2, and I feel like we've really gotten nowhere.
Devour feculence. It means eat shit.
So, I don't know. I would love to hear everyone's theories. If you have a theory on Yellow Jackets, if you have a theory on Severance or on Dexter Resurrection, comment and let us know. We'd like to hear that shit. Do you have any new theories? Like, have you considered anything new for Dexter Resurrection?
have not.
Did you know Kristen Ritter's 43?
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I did not know that.
She looks 33. Doesn't really pertain to anything, but I saw it. It said Ritter 43. I said, 43? Ain't no way. So I think we've gabbed enough. Let's talk about episode 2. Storm of Fuck.
When Matt Caldwell is listed as a missing person, Dexter's home becomes base camp for their search. All the while, he's trying to form a band with his long-lost son, Harrison. Wait.
What?
I said,
They're trying to form a band now?
I said maybe she's just like doing a little pun because he's in it.
You thought it was a bit?
All the while, he's trying to form a bond with his long-lost son, Harrison, and Jim Lindsay, a.k.a. Dexter Morgan, struggles to keep his old life and his new life separate.
So the first thing we got to mention in this episode is the title and where it came from. It comes from Who Else But Deborah, like we spoke about earlier. It's season 7, episode 5 of the original show, and it's titled Swim Deep. And it's also the episode with Deb's iconic elevator scene.
Motherfucking suckbag! You fucking nugget!
And in this episode, she also tells Dexter they are, quote, in a storm of fuck because LaGuerta is forming a theory that the Bay Harbor Butcher is still alive.
We are in a storm of fuck.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Dexter Morgan does in fact find himself in a storm of fuck in this episode, which happens to him quite often.
Yeah, he's gotten a little rusty.
We also get to meet Clancy Brown, Mr. Krabs himself, in this episode. He plays Matt's father, Kurt Caldwell. Michaela has a full-on, I feel like I've said this before, Michaela has a full-on Kurt fit at the house. You have to wear it at some point.
Yeah, I'll probably bring it out for the
And
the
we need to
penultimate.
post pictures on the social media or something. You wearing the Kurt fit?
I really loved Kurt.
I know you do. You've always liked Kurt for some reason.
I don't know why. He just
You
struck
went to
me.
his fucking diner. You went. Oh, you have a birdhouse
Yeah, that painted as the diner.
painted
The
as
Caldwell
the, which
Diner.
is so cute.
I just love me some Kurt Caldwell.
He's great though. He's a great actor. I mean, everything he's in, really, he's excellent.
Yeah, probably one of my top 3 villains. Of
Really?
Dexter.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting in this episode. It's the second episode, and you're already sweating bullets for Dexter Morgan. I mean, pretty much the beginning of the fucking episode, cops swarm his house, and they're there the entire episode.
And it's crazy that he literally just has Matt under their feet. Like, literally.
Like, the whole time. It's insane. This episode is really good, too, man. Like, and I love the tones of it. Especially, like, in the cabin, that, like, kind of candlelit feel. It's very dark, and it just feels...
Yeah, very different from Miami.
Absolutely. Miami's bright and open, and like you said, colorful, and, like, this just...
Yeah, and Dexter's apartment was even, like, very...
Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's it was a really great fresh taste. And I think Original Sin was too. Even though Original Sin was back in Miami, I still feel like it was its own.
Yeah, I loved the
Body of-
90s, getting to see the 90s version of,
And
Miami
it's-
Metro and...
It's crazy how much context it's given me. How much context it's given me just watching this. Like, just in the first 2 episodes, there have been several moments where I'm like, oh, that's so funny after watching Original Sin. Like,
Yeah, I think they did a really great job with Original Sin. Hopefully, we still are hoping for a season 2.
it's coming. Don't worry. Don't fret.
Maybe after Resurrection, you think they'll announce it? Or
Maybe. Hopefully before then.
I was hoping we were going to get some sort of, like,
Yeah.
Resurrection. Like,
I feel like we say that every week, but, like, it's so, like, we're just waiting.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
waiting for a Resurrection teaser, trailer.
We're middle of March right now. It's just 3 months away that it's supposed to be premiering.
That's soon.
Yeah, that is soon. That's crazy. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start up at the top of episode 2 here. And we start out with our very first scene is Dexter and Harrison kind of like awkwardly sitting at Dexter's dinner table. And the inner voice wonders, what can I possibly say to this kid who I abandoned some 10 years ago? And what comes out of his mouth is,
You got big.
I love it. So like such a Dexter thing.
he's so awkward.
Yeah.
And then he asks if Harrison wants some blueberry pancakes. But Harrison's like, I'm not 5 anymore. So he makes him a sandwich. He asks for a sandwich. Like father, like son. Dexter loves his sandwiches.
And they definitely show in this show here that the way Harrison eats, they pinpoint that a lot to try to make it, resemble
Similar
Dexter,
to the way.
yeah.
The way he bites into the sandwich, it's weird.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I also like how he says here, he just looks at him and he's like, so you're not dead. I know you have reservations about Harrison, but I like him. He stands on business. And he knows that he is owed an explanation as to why he had to grow up without a father. Obviously, at this point, he doesn't understand the reason is that his dad is a serial killer who is supposed to be dead. But, like, who wouldn't want answers in that situation? You know what I mean? I would too.
Harrison tells Dexter here that it was brutal to find that letter proving that his father wasn't dead. He also tells Dexter that Hannah, whom Harrison was left with, died from cancer a few years prior. And Harrison has been on his own since.
Yeah, so then he gets sent back to the U.S. from Buenos Aires, where they were, and he's just kind of been, like, bouncing around foster homes and decided that he wanted to find his father. He's, like, pretty taken aback, not only by the fact that Hannah is dead, but the fact that Harrison had been alone for so long. He looks really, really affected when Harrison tells him that Hannah died.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he truly loved Hannah,
Sure.
and it's sad that they didn't get to live happily ever after. He had to die, essentially.
But just like Dexter, Harrison is smart and resourceful, so he tracked down Jim Lindsay one clue at a time until he found an Instagram post from Fred Jr. bragging about Jim bowling a 300 right there in Iron Lake. And that led him straight to Dexter's doorstep.
Like, come on, Dexter. You can't be on Instagram. You can't be getting posted on Instagram. A 300, is that perfect?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Nice.
And so here, Harrison asks a very important question. He's like, why all this Jim shit? What happened to Dexter Morgan? Because typically people don't just fake their deaths and run off to start a new life for no reason.
Yeah, the inner voice says here, I killed dozens of people and got your mom and aunt killed too.
He can't be honest with him, but he's honest in his head at least, I guess. And of course he can't tell Harrison that, so he just says Dexter had to die. which, like, drama queen. I mean, I think Dexter did have to die, but, and he does promise to tell Harrison everything in the morning, but we get one of the sickest Deb moments, and Deb is pissed.
Yeah, this scene right here is maybe my favorite Deb moment of the entire New Blood. Yeah, so this scene, she is tapping on this like beautiful stained glass window for one with a bullet. And
yeah, this moment is scary. I listened to it earlier with headphones in, and the music and the sound effects are scary as fuck. It sounds almost like a horror film. I didn't realize before listening to it with headphones, how crazy it sounded. But Deborah's like you said, she's tapping on this window.
Yeah, and as she's tapping, she says, "You're not listening," as the window breaks.
And she's tapping with the bullet from her abdomen. And like you said, she grabs Dexter's face. I know this is your favorite part. I want to let you talk about it.
Oh, she grabs his face here and she says,
You selfish psycho. You emotionally handicapped, crazy fuck. If by some goddamn miracle you don't end up killing him, you will sure as shit fuck him up.
She also does her own little tap here. She kind of taps Dexter on the side of the head with the bullet, and it reminded me of the forehead tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a raw and impactful moment. It's like what little bit of humanness is left inside of Dexter's psyche is begging him to push Harrison away before the dark passenger claims him as a victim as well. I love, like you said, how aggressive and just torturous they've made Deb in this season.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it.
It's brutal. It's sick. I like it too. And with that, Dexter decides, nah, I'm gonna let him stay here and I'm not gonna fuck him up and it's gonna be okay. Kind of rolled my eyes at that because, come on, he knows better. This man knows better.
And then we get our title card. We get a little bit more blood this time.
Ever so slightly, yeah. And we get our episode title written this time on a steamy mirror. How did you feel about that one?
I hated them all, but I liked
hated them all
Yeah, I
equally,
hated
okay.
them all, yeah.
Well, it's written on the mirror that this young girl is using, and it's the girl from the bar in episode 1. I think her name was Lily. And this is where shit starts to get funky and stanky, okay? This girl finds herself in this nice looking room that I initially assumed was a motel room or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks rather nice.
But we see quickly that something fucky is happening because she's being watched by a man through cameras that are in the room. What the fuck is this? What is happening? And is this connected to our big bad?
Yeah, when I very first watched this, we were trying to figure out who the big bad was.
And they really red herringed.
Oh, yes. They did a good job with that. But
yeah. But before we get anything else on that, we're back with Dexter, who's trying to get back to his daily routine. And he goes outside, walks out of his front door, and notices that he left some really large blood splatters out in the snow from his little fiesta with Matt Caldwell. And just as he's covering it up, several cop cars pull into the driveway. I mean, 4 or 5 of them. So we're just thinking, what the fuck is going on now? Do they already know about the murder?
Yeah, and this is where we get the episode title. He says, "This is one storm of fuck."
Quotes his sister. And he would be very correct because not only have the police been informed that Matt is missing, but they are insisting that they make Dexter's home base camp for their search, since his place is so close to the area where Matt went missing. The fucking luck this guy has.
Dexter's shitting himself.
And of course, but Dexter's like, yeah, sure, why not? Go ahead, because what else are you gonna fucking say? And within moments, the entire police force is setting up tables and equipment for the search mere feet from where Matt Caldwell was dismembered. This is just so Dexter. Just these type of situations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like he's gotten himself in these situations countless times.
I don't know if there's any character that stresses me out more than Dexter Morgan.
Yeah, but he somehow always manages to get away
Yeah.
with it. So,
Like flipping in the original show, flipping a vehicle with a body in it.
yeah, crazy shit. How he was not caught.
That shit was wild. So seeing the commotion, Harrison walks outside, and for the first time, he meets Jim's girlfriend, Angela, who was leading the search for Matt. And Angela's obviously like, what the actual fuck? Because she didn't know that Jim had children or a child.
Yeah, she seems kind of upset about it.
Of course, I mean, who wouldn't be? Angela also learns that Harrison's mother passed away, and Harrison tells her that the reason he came to be with Jim was because of his mother's passing, which we know is not true.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe he considered Hannah his mother.
Well, he goes on to say he tells Audrey about his stepmother passing. And I don't think that's what he meant in this, but because Dexter says, thanks for covering for me. And he's like, I didn't do it for you. I just don't want a cop all up in my business.
Right.
Which I get that. I think it's actually there where he says, like father, like son. And with that, the search for Matt Caldwell begins. It seems like the entire town is there. They even have drones searching for Matt. Dexter's like, fuck. It's like all this technology, you know, drones and social media and all this shit is making it harder and harder for people like Dexter to get away with things.
Oh, yeah.
And I like that they included that, like, which, I mean, we see that the guy sucks with the fucking drone, so it doesn't really matter. But if he had been good with the drone, that could have been a problem for Dexter.
I think he says, well, I may actually get away with this after all.
Yeah. And he's realizing that the deer was killed on reservation land, and they're going to find it soon. So he volunteers for him and Harrison to check up that way in hopes that he can, like, find it, cover his ass, fix any potential mistakes before the cops start investigating the scene. Thankfully, like we said earlier, these cops are horrible with their drones, so that is one less issue for him to worry about. And next we get back just for a moment with Lily, the girl from the bar, who is being watched in this motel-looking room, which we're starting to think might be a jail cell of sorts, rather than just like a nice place to unwind. And she's very sick, presumably from whatever she was given to drink or eat. What the fuck is happening to this girl? We see her, she was like drinking like champagne or something, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was like she had like champagne and like strawberries or something, maybe.
Very weird. We don't get any farther on that, though. It's a very short scene. But just like that, we get back with Jim and Harrison, who are driving through the forest, and they're talking, and Harrison asks, so why Iron Lake? Why here? And the inner voice says, there's no temptation from the outside world. Like, he's essentially removed himself from society as best he can in hopes that it would allow him to live a life where he didn't have to kill anyone or get anyone killed. But it's like they say, wherever you go, you will follow. So it's not like Dexter can ever really escape the Dark Passenger anywhere he goes.
So Jim and Harrison eventually come across the crime scene, and Jim tells Harrison that he needs to drive the RTV back to the cabin and tell the cops that they have found this deer.
Yeah, and Jim's like, I'm gonna stay behind to, quote, make sure no one disturbs the scene. And of course, Dexter only wants Harrison to go back so that he can disturb the scene, so he can make sure any evidence of his involvement is covered up.
We then jump over to see Angela, who is pulling up to this big ol' house.
It's all Edward Olson's pad. This guy is spooky. There's something haunting about him. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely off.
Yeah, he's a weird one. And that's what initially you think is like, it's got to be this guy, right? This guy's got to be a bad guy because he's so fucking weird. But Angela has come here to ask if they can use Olsen's helicopter to search for Matt. And he agrees pretty quickly that they can. But before she leaves, he questions her about her daughter Audrey and her involvement in the protests that we saw in the first episode that were against Edward Olsen just a few days before. And he claims that her generation ignores all the wonderful things that he does, like donating to the Seneca Clinic and donating food and, just taking care of people. And it seems, did it come off as like vaguely threatening to you?
Yeah, I
The
thought
way he
so.
says it? I don't know if he's necessarily threatening to stop doing that. I don't know. But it was very weird. It was a very weird little moment there. But before he can get any more bullshit to come out of his mouth, Angela takes off. And then we're back with Jim, who's trying like hell to cover his tracks while his dead sister laughs maniacally behind him. She laughs the entire scene.
Yeah, I love it so much.
It's crazy. It's definitely a form of Deb that we have never seen before.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
So, during all of this, Dexter's realizing that the mess he left was due to the head injury that Matt got when he fell on a rock. So, he literally just starts like lysoling the
It's
rock.
Windex. She said, "You think Windex can?" She says something like
Something about
is
Windex,
gonna-
yeah. So he's like Windexing or lysoling the rock, whatever he fucking does, and then I think he throws it like out into the woods. And Deborah tells him here, she's speaking of Harrison. She says, he has your fucking brain. He knows people don't fake their death unless they have something to hide. Which is so true. There's no way Harrison doesn't realize something's fucky with the situation. And I think we find out later in the episode that he actually feels like Dexter faked his death and became someone else because of Harrison. Which is what I feel like any kid would think that. Like, my parent faked their death and became someone else because they didn't want the responsibility of taking care of me or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Poor kid. I feel bad for every single one of these characters. But Dexter's inner voice here makes it clear that he has no intentions of losing Harrison again. And with that, he treks up towards the highway and he plants one of Matt's hunting gloves on the ground to presumably make it look like Matt had taken off.
Yeah, very clever. He's still got it in him,
It reminds me of that just that one little quote in American Dad. He's like, damn, that bitch's mind works quick. That's exactly what I think of every time I watch Dexter. I'm like, damn, that bitch's mind works quick. Because he always just on a dime.
Oh, yeah.
He can do it. He can handle it. So when Dexter gets back down to the scene where the deer was killed, there's several people from the Seneca reservation standing there with the deer. And Dexter convinces them that maybe Matt killed the deer and then took off, knowing that, he would get in trouble for it.
Yeah, Angela tells them there's no evidence of that, but it is possible and that the scene still needs to be processed.
They don't really like that. They don't like that she's not necessarily defending Matt Caldwell, but she is searching for Matt Caldwell. And his family's very well connected. They're very rich and they take care of the community. So it would have to be her responsibility to find this kid. You know what I mean?
And I feel like Angela's a good cop.
She is. I think so too. She's a great cop. I think even Dexter says that in either this scene or one coming up. He's like, why does my girlfriend have to be such a good cop? I think it was this scene, actually. One of the Seneca men here replies something to the tune of, when a Caldwell goes missing, everyone turns out. But when it's one of our girls, people just don't really seem to care as much. And I think that's such a relevant and real issue that he's speaking on. Like, in real life, literally, dozens of men and women alike from reservations around the country just, like, go missing yearly. They get murdered. Things happen to them. And they never get the type of media coverage that they deserve. For example, like, real life true crime case that's unfolding right now is an Indigenous girl named Emily Pike went missing from a Mesa group home. And then she was found murdered on the side of the road. And like stuff like this happens. I think she was like 14 years old. This
crazy.
just happened not that long ago. So stuff like this happens to Indigenous people all the time. And they don't get justice all the time, and they don't get the media coverage that they deserve. It's bizarre, but I really like that this show is able to tell a Dexter story while also shining a light on like a real life problem for a lot of indigenous people in the country. I really appreciated that. That was my soapbox moment. I digress.
Angela and Logan begin to process the crime scene, and then Fred Jr. finds Matt's glove out close to the highway.
Just like Dexter planned. And he tells Angela, he's like, hey, I actually sold Matt a rifle a few days ago. I can give you some of the ammo to see if it's a match. I mean, Jim Lindsay is placing all the bricks he needs to frame this crime in a way that he isn't going to be suspected. He's doing what he's always done, and it seems like he fucking likes it. Like Deb says, he missed it. I love here how Angela says, wow, great job. Like, you're doing a great job for this to be your first crime scene.
Little does she know.
That he's more experienced at a crime scene than she is. And she finds that out eventually, but I thought it was funny. And then with that, Dexter and Harrison head back to the cabin, and they get around to feeding the farm animals. And this is where Harrison tells Dexter that he had a goat back in Argentina, and it was named Vincent Van Goat. Gorgeous name.
Yeah, he asked Dexter what his goat's name is, and Dexter just says, Goat.
I just been calling it Goat. I would have named it Black Phillip for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And here, Jim tells Harrison that he has to take off to go get those bullets, and that he can just stay inside if he wants, because he knows how awkward it can be meeting new people. But Harrison's like, yeah, I survived the last decade without you. I think I can handle myself for a few hours. And then he just walks straight up to like a group of kids and he starts talking to them. It's the exact opposite of Dexter at that age, especially, like I said earlier, after seeing Original Sin.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like Harrison had to do that. You know, he had to adapt and...
For sure, yeah.
You know.
But Dexter was so awkward at that age and lost like socially. And when he gets into his truck here, Deb's here.
Yeah, she reinforces here by saying, well, he's not an awkward as fuck budding serial killer like you were.
So true. And she once again screams at Dexter, saying, you love that you're getting away with murder. And he totally does.
Oh, yeah. He so does.
And she's telling them that he is going to fail Harrison 1,000 times. And he screams back at her. And he gets noticed by there's like a... There's a teenage girl standing there, and she just like kind of notices him screaming at himself, and she just like...
Yeah, I love it. I love the peace sign he gives back to her.
Yeah. And then we see that Audrey invites Harrison along with her and her friends to search for Matt Caldwell. But we don't really get anywhere on that, because then we get back over to Lily, who is still being held captive by this mysterious person. We don't know who is this. Who is this freak that traps young girls?
Yeah, and why? Why is he doing this?
Is this creepy ass Edward Olsen? Is this the petro billionaire? Or is this someone completely new? We just don't know yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten really any information, but their eyes is all we keep seeing, really.
And then we're thinking, like, is this where all the missing girls have been going? It makes so much sense. I love the way they set it up. And then once again, that's very short. And then we get back over to Dexter, Angela, and Logan, and they're there with the butcher as he is searching for the slug, the bullet, from the rifle inside of this white deer's shoulder.
So the butcher says here that whoever shot the deer had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, like because of how they shot the deer, I guess. He's like, its shoulder is, and the way Dexter looks in this scene when the butcher is like elbow deep in the deer, look how pale. It's hilarious. But so that just like pretty much reinforces the idea that Matt Caldwell did this, because Matt Caldwell, as we know, is a fucking idiot. So of course, if he was going to shoot a deer, he was going to do it wrong. And that's pretty much what the butcher says, is whoever did this did not know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, and he was just doing it out of,
meanness.
Yeah.
He was doing it out of meanness is what he was doing. Fuck him. So they confirm that the bullets are the same. And like I said, Dexter is looking pale at the sight of this blood. But before he can scoot off, Angela tells him that they need to talk. You never want to hear that. I think he even says that. You never want to hear that from someone you're dating. We need to talk. But before we get to the talk, we get over to Audrey and Harrison, who are hitting it off, and they're talking while they're quote unquote searching for Matt. And Harrison lets it slip here that he lived with his stepmom. But Angela was told that he lived with his biological mom. So I'm sure that's going to cause us some issues down the line. But they kind of changed subject. It turns out they aren't even really searching for Matt. Audrey here says, Matt's an entitled prick. Fuck him. She said, we're here to party. And they break into this like abandoned cabin with the help of Harrison's lock jimmying abilities.
Hey, like father, like son, right?
Absolutely. And like you said earlier, he had to adapt. He had pretty much lived on the streets. He was on his own for years.
We then get back to Angela and Jim, who are talking about Harrison. And she tells Dexter here that Audrey is not her biological daughter.
That's shocking.
Yeah, she said that she adopted her after she was abandoned. And she seems to be pretty understanding about Dexter keeping Harrison a secret.
Yeah, I think because she felt like she was keeping a secret from him, not telling him that she's not Audrey's biological mom. So maybe she felt bad and kind of made her, understand the situation and why Dexter didn't tell her that he had a son. I really, really like Angela. It's just like, it seems like Dexter attracts these just good people. And
yeah, it's sad.
It is sad because like I think I know that he wants to be good, but he ends up just throwing them all in a blender in one way or another. It's really unfortunate. But she seems excited because she expects like to be able to connect with Jim now about parenting. But Dexter's never really been one for connection in that way, so I don't think she's going to get what she's looking for there. But she tells Dexter that Harrison is going to love it here in Iron Lake, and that she bets Audrey and her friends are taking great care of him. And then we cut over to Harrison.
Yeah, just hanging out with a bunch of fucking assholes.
Smoking pot, smoking the devil's lettuce in this cabin that they broke into. But then Harrison tells them, like, they try to offer it to him, and he's like, no, I have a history with drugs, but I'm clean now. So that was interesting.
I don't think they ever, like, touched anymore on that.
I don't think they, maybe a little bit, but not majorly in any way, I don't think.
Or maybe it was just, like, hinting at, like, he had an addiction as well.
And it would make sense, someone abandoned, your mother's murdered, and then you're abandoned by your father, and you're kind of just, like, on your own. I mean, he had Hannah, but when she died, it would make sense. Audrey's guy friends, who are douchebags, by the way, start talking about Harrison being creepy and saying they know nothing about him. So while he's out of the room, they start going through his bag. And they find, like, some drawings, but they don't really find anything else. I thought that was so weird. And they are kids, I guess, but... So these guys are looking at his drawings kind of like, I don't really know what they expected to find. Like, kids are assholes. But Audrey makes them put everything back in the bag. And then, Harrison walks back into the room with the wood. But then we cut back over to Lily, who is still being held captive in this room. And she realizes, I think she starts to realize it here. She realizes that her phone is missing. And also that there's no way for her to exit the room that she's in.
Yeah, but was her phone missing this whole time? Or did he, like, sneak in there when she was, like, passed out or something and, like, steal it? We never see him, like, sneaking in there or anything. But, like, I feel like she had her phone. Because now, like, the doorknob's gone. Was the doorknob gone the whole time? Like, and she just did not know that the fucking doorknob
she was, like,
gone?
fucked up for, like, a day. Remember? I don't know. She begins to panic, as anyone would. And this is when she notices that the cameras are watching her. And she's, like, horrified, rightfully so. But before we can see anything else, we get back to Dexter's cabin. where the search for Matt continues.
Yeah, Angela pulls up and announces that they no longer believe Matt is in the woods and that they are calling off the search.
Well, howdy ho.
Dexter did his job.
And then the kids pull back up, and Angela is pissed at Audrey for hanging out at this, I guess it's like an abandoned summer camp, apparently, instead of like searching for Matt. And this is where we learn Angela's friend's name was Iris, and she's the reason Angela panics so much over Audrey's whereabouts, why she's so concerned about all the young girls in that area. It seems like Iris was her friend, and something happened to Iris. Presumably, and this could all be related to the missing women and what is currently happening to Lily, the girl from the bar that is like captive right now as we speak. And I'm sorry, I'd smack the shit out of my kid if she spoke to me like that in front of other people. She calls her an overbearing dictator and also shouts at her, "I'm not Iris," like in front of all these people. So yeah, it's clear that Audrey kind of like holds a little bit of resentment towards her mother for how kind of overbearing she is with her. But it's because of Iris. So we're definitely going to get more on that and see where that goes. We're going to, who is Iris and what happened to her? But we get no further on that for now, as Dexter is showing Harrison his new digs. And he tells Harrison to ask him anything he wants. And Harrison, of course, the first thing he asks, why did you leave? And did it have anything to do with what he wrote in his letter?
Yeah, and Dexter's like, what I wrote?
Yeah, and then Harrison pulls out the letter. Apparently he has it with him. And Dexter has written in this letter for Hannah to reach out to him if Harrison starts showing quote-unquote dark tendencies. And Harrison's like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, what is a dark tendency? He's like, is this why you left me? Is this why you abandoned me 10 years ago? Because there was something wrong with me? He just, of course, like as a kid, of course he's going to feel like it's about him. He even asks him here, were you hiding from me? But Dexter tells him that it doesn't have anything to do with him.
What did you see in me? Nothing bad. You were perfect. You were this sweet, smart, trusting little boy with a huge heart. It wasn't you I was scared of. It was me. I've always had my demons. I was scared that I'd mess you up, that I'd pass that on.
He then tells Dexter he used to keep a picture of him beside his bed until he found a letter.
I think he also says, like, I used to cry myself to sleep. It's so sad, man. But he just doesn't understand Dexter really did the best thing possible for Harrison when he left him, I think. And he tells Dexter here to stop acting like he's such an evil person. Because Dexter's like, I had to leave because of me. I was the problem. I was afraid that I was going to mess you up, essentially. And Harrison's like, you need to stop acting like you're so evil. Every memory I have of you is really great. And he tells Dexter that he will stay with him for the time being. So Harrison still has no idea what exactly he means by that. I mean, can you imagine going to find your long-lost father? And he's like, yeah, actually, I'm a serial killer. I murdered a bunch of people. And I pissed off another serial killer, and that's who killed your mom. And
Yeah,
poor kid.
I get why Harrison did what he did at the end, but
Yeah. I know. We'll get there. We'll talk about it. It's going to be, that finale is going to be hard to talk about, but we're going to do it.
so getting toward the end of our episode here, the search party is wrapping up, and we see Deborah. She's telling Dexter,
You don't have to enjoy the win so much. You smug fuck.
Because he does look like a smug fuck, just standing there like, he's just standing there watching the search party wrap up, and it's just probably a high for him, knowing that he killed someone who deserved it and he's getting away with it. And Deborah's just like, fuck you. And finally, though, at last, we meet Matt's father. Kirk Caldwell pulls up. he's trying to get information on Matt, which I'm like, they've been doing this all day and this is the first time you're here. What have you been doing?
Yeah, he already seems just like some rich fuck.
Angela's like, we've been trying to get a hold of you all day. It's like, what better things do you have to do, Kurt?
Yeah, he just thinks his money can buy off everything, basically.
Angela tells him that she believes Matt took off after shooting a white deer on reservation land, and he pleads with her to continue the search. He says Matt would have called me if he was in trouble, which probably is true. If Matt had done something that he knew he was going to be in trouble for, he would have called his dad and said, hey, Dad, I'm going to need some money. He wouldn't have taken off. So Kurt's very smart, and he already realizes that something is askew with this. He's like, there's no way Matt just took off. He wouldn't do that. So he pleads with the search party, with the town pretty much, to continue searching by bringing up all the tremendous deeds he's done for them. I think he even mentions, he looks at Fred Jr. and he's like, you know, when you were bad, I don't remember exactly what it says, but when your family was bad financially, I was there for you. I gave you money. What a prick-ass dickhead thing to say, especially in front of other people. So you're immediately like, I don't like this fucking guy.
Yeah, Angela gives in and says they'll continue searching throughout the night.
For Matt fucking Caldwell. Okay, we'll search throughout the night. It's gonna be fucking freezing and whatever. We'll keep searching though. And so they all like kind of gather around the fire pit. And Kurt says, I'm gonna find my son. He goes on this little spiel. He's like, I'm gonna find him. No stone will go unturned.
Yeah, and as he says this, we pan down to the fire pit that they are all standing around, and Matt's body is underneath there. I'm going to sound like an old person here, but that was a goated moment when I watched this for the first. Everybody was flipping out, like, holy I was
shit.
like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense why Dexter had them all gather around the fire pit to begin with. They aren't going to search there.
Matt is right underneath their feet and they have no idea. And I did think it was a little weird. Remember back in the first episode, he kind of mentions in passing, he's like, looks at the ice fishing poster. He's like, well, it's not Miami Bay, but it does have a hole or something like that. So you're kind of, I thought when I first watched this the whole time that that's where he was going to put Matt's body.
Yeah, I was like, maybe he just didn't have enough time.
I don't know. But it was just a shock to me for when the pan down and it's Matt's body below the fire pit.
Yeah, crazy.
And the inner voice says, well, maybe some stones will go unturned. And with that, we get our end credits for episode 2.
Which I want to say, I really love the end credits here. We get like a fire, like crackling effect. Beautiful.
I wanted to mention it too, because they're all different. They change. And I liked that this one was fiery for the fire pit. It was really funny. And we get, the iconic blood theme as always. Really good episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode.
Me too. Did you do a Deb fuck count for Storm of Fuck?
I did. She said fuck 10 times this episode.
Yeah.
So we were up to 11.
Hell yeah, she did. She was pissed in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad we're doing this. I feel like this is going to be such a good refresher for us, like right before we start in on Resurrection, which is basically a sequel to this.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. I hope that, I don't know, are they going to, do you think they're going to start off with him in the hospital since that's where we left off in Original Sin? Or are they going to kind of flash back to him in the snow and then we get like a little recap of what happened in Original Sin and then, I don't know.
Good thought. I mean, I feel like they've just been jumping into shit. Like what they did with New Blood, with the first episode, you're put right into the action. So I feel like it's going to be maybe Dexter, well, he gets transported, right? Well, like we see in Original Sin, he's being transported in Angela's car, right? Or in a cop car of sorts.
Yeah.
So maybe, I think we'll wake up, we'll start with him waking up in the hospital. He's going to see Trinity.
Crazy.
He's going to break out somehow, obviously, right? Because, like,
he's going to have to.
How else? Like, He's a he's wanted. He's a wanted man.
I feel like the hospital is going to be the easiest way for him to get out.
Yeah. Which they have, I mean, when people who are considered dangerous, they have like precautions and measures they take, even in a hospital. So I'm interested to see if that's going to come into play and how Dexter is going to deal with that and how he's going to think himself out of that fucking mess.
Maybe he's going to find some M99.
Oh, who knows, bitch? He's good with that stuff. So we both really enjoyed this episode, but what would you rate it? What do you get? What is your rating for this episode?
I gave the first one a 9. I think I'm going to give this one, I'll give it an 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
I'm going to stay at 9. I'm going to stay at 9 because I loved Deborah so much in this episode. I thought it propelled our plot along really well. I enjoyed it just as much as the first
Deborah
one.
was definitely the highlight of this episode for me.
I'll
give her a 10 for sure.
Yeah, really. Deborah gets a 10. That one scene, dude, is just like
her shoving the bullet in his mouth.
Do you have like Bluetooth headphones? Do you have any headphones?
No.
Well, that fucking scene with headphones in is hair-raising. Crazy. All right, well, I think that does it for this week's episode of Dexter Unwrapped. Remember, you guys can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We are at Dexter Unwrapped. And like I said last week, we'll keep you updated if we join anything else, since TikTok's probably going to be banned in the near future. So we'll keep you up to date on that. We would also really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe on YouTube. It's been really hard to get subscribers over there, so we'll take anyone that we can get. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in to our recap of episode 2 of Dexter New Blood. We'll be back next week to cover episode 3, which is titled Smoke Signals. Once again, I'm Brooke.
And I'm Michaela.
And until next time, stay safe and keep that dark passenger in check, friends.